You're listening to Crusader Chronicles episode 62, featuring Amazing Spider-Man number 206 and X-Men number 135 from April 1980. Hello and welcome to the 62nd episode of Crusader Chronicles podcast. I'm your host, Pat, aka DJ Christatos. Crusader Chronicles is a podcast that will journal the comic book series read chronologically by their release date from my comic book collection, either in digital, in a trade, or from the many long boxes stashed away in my basement. Each episode will provide short recaps, reviews, and ratings for the issues for that release date. The goal is to keep me actively reading through my collection and having some fun along the way, talking about them with my friends. And speaking about my friends, let's see who's here with me today. We have the usual suspects. That is Jared Albrecht, a.k.a. Death Probe, the yard sale artist.
I am the yard sale artist, and I have inherited godlike powers, and I'm turning on all three of you.
Like turning us on, like we're supposed to be like excited about it.
Yeah, like I didn't mean to turn you on, like Robin Palmer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, LBC crew. I didn't mean to turn you on. I had a whole bit where I was going to talk about eating a star. Like I'm going to go eat a giant star, and it was actually going to be revealed to be like Taco Bell, but Hardee's would have made more
Juniors,
sense because they have Carl's Hardee's or Carl's Jr. I didn't think it through well. Let's move on.
Failed bits.
Somebody save me.
Well, let's see if your brother can save you. Jason, the Weasel Skull Albrecht, can you save the bits?
I am Phoenix. Yeah, baby, I'm Phoenix. But, I need to go on a diet, so I got to eat light. So if I'm going to eat light, I'm going to eat that star.
Because it's like light. I get it.
Yeah.
It's better than
I get it. Yeah. Okay. Light like a star because it. Okay.
Yeah, you did it, Jason. You got it. All right. Good job.
All right. Well,
I have a lot of questions about that moment. A lot of questions about that.
We'll get to that. But speaking about getting to, let's get to Delvin the Dark Web Williams. How are you, Delvin?
I'm great, Pat. And I was so great earlier. In fact, I beat up all my buddies, and then I took a trip around the sun and blasted my way after creating a Stargate. It really was just pre-energy, and I had to poop. No, it wasn't really as special as I thought it was in my mind.
I like how all these bits are terrible, but they're still better than mine. So.
It's interesting. You know what's interesting about all those bits is that they all about one comic.
Yeah, they're all X-Bits.
Nobody went to Spider-Man.
I assumed everybody was Spider-Man. So
I have one. I have one coming. So I wanted to talk about X-Men. So right. I wanted to leave Spidey alone.
I'm like Jason. Like I just assumed one of the four of you was going to take the angry
I was
bit.
going to do the dial it up and go crazy and get all violent and then dial it back down joke. But I thought, no, Jared's going to get that ahead.
I was going to leave it for somebody else. The bit machine is just a little broken.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe what's going on here? We need to. That's probably what's happening right now. There's some machine that's sending us radio waves, and it's like it's breaking our bits, and
it's interfering with our bits.
Yeah,
we got to fight through. We just keep telling terrible bit after terrible bit, and one of them's going to be good. One of them we're going to get through.
We'll do it.
You just described the entirety of the show since inception.
Facts, correct.
Yeah, we are still waiting on a good bit. So, which in fact is a good segue. If you like one of the bits that we've had from over time, I wonder how someone could kind of call in and tell us about what's their favorite bit that we've done.
Yeah, I could help you.
Because we'd want to know, are our bits getting through? Are they not getting through? But if you wanted to do that, you could actually leave us a voicemail, and we just might play it on the show. You can leave us a message at 707-532-5269. That's 707-532-LBOX. Pick up the phone.
I like the whisper now, Jared.
It's my new thing. Yeah.
It's very seductive.
It's like right in your ear, too, especially when I got the headset on. It's like, oh, yeah. It's like, you know what? I think I'm just going to go to bed early, turn the lights down, lay on my pillow.
Turn the lights down low.
No, baby, that's all right. I'm just going to listen to a little LONGBOX.
Turn the lights down low.
I'm about to take my shirt off, guys. You need to quit talking like this. We gotta keep it moving.
We gotta show it. We gotta keep moving. So, if you want to leave us a voicemail, please do. Tell us what bit you like. But before we get started with this episode's issue, why don't we take a quick podcast promo break, and we will be right back.
Hey, listen to LONGBOX Crusade.
Welcome back from the break. Now let's get to the first featured comic for this episode, and it is Amazing Spider-Man number 206. The credits for this issue are provided by Mike's Amazing World of Comics website. Publisher was Marvel, got a cover date of July 1980, but its on-sale date was April 8th, 1980. Cover price is 40 cents. Editor is Dennis J. O'Neill. Writer is Roger Stern. Penciler, John L. Byrne. Inker is Gene Day. Letterer is Diana Elbers. And colorist is George Roussos. This is reprinted in Spider-Man Visionaries, Roger Stern, trade paperback, or the Essential Spider-Man Volume 9. Otherwise, it's also in Spider-Man by Roger Stern Omnibus and Marvel Masterworks Volume 268 of Amazing Spider-Man Volume 20. And it's also on Marvel Unlimited. So we hope you're reading along with us as we go through. Cover credits go to the artist, Alan Milgram. And speaking about the cover, Jared, give us a little description of it.
First of all, Al Milgram does such a great cover. You should probably, if at any time any of the LONGBOX Crusade crew would like to giggle like a high school or college age girl in the background during this, feel free to. All right, here we go.
I bet I know where this is going.
I bet you do. The Marvel Comics group banner is bikini yellow with black letters, and Spider-Man is swinging like the swinger that he is in an erotic orange corner box. The Amazing Spider-Man logo is white with red highlights, and that includes the webs until someone takes them off. The main action shows... It's so funny, I told you to do it, made me laugh. The main action shows Peter Parker absolutely uninhibited, wild, and uncensored at the office. He's kicking a coworker in the well-formed chest and swinging a chair all sexy-like. Coworkers are scrambling.
I'm not rewarding this.
Co-workers are scrambling and yearning for cover. It's a hot scene. A cover blurb simply states, Peter Parker goes wild.
Oh my God, I've never done this before.
Oh, well done, Delvin.
Oh,
I mean, if that is a quote from the old commercial, I wouldn't remember.
How many commercials did you watch to get?
God, that
came on USA after 10.
Yeah, and I think Comedy Central, I just remember seeing that commercial a lot in college. It's like, okay, so people are out there paying like $20 for a VHS of girls showing their boobie.
And they're in college.
It's an odd market.
Look, it was not the finest hour for me. I should say that.
I mean,
it wasn't, and yet
I'm going to be honest with you. I just think that's just dumb. And after I spent, I think, how many tapes did I get? $60. I decided this just needs to stop.
You're like, hey, I've seen this one before.
The plot kept blending together, you know.
The writing was stale after a while.
Well, thank you for that wild and wet.
Ooh, hey.
Cover description there.
Family show.
But let's go ahead and get some quick cover thoughts. And we'll start with Delvin. What's your thoughts on the cover?
For some reason, I'm just not the craziest about Al Milgrom. There is nothing wrong with this cover. And it's an accurate portrayal of something that happened in the book. He wanted to get a little Spidey stuff in there. So I actually like that he halved Peter Parker's face. And I like that they put the Spider banner in the background just so you can remember what, you know, who the main star of the book is, of course. And it's not a bad cover. I mean, heck, Robbie, boy, he looks like he is in trouble. Because I remember looking, I was like, is that Robbie? And yeah, it was definitely Robbie Robertson in that picture. And they even have Marla and, no Glory appearance, but that's definitely Marla Madison and Robbie. So it's good. I'm just not crazy about Al Milgrom, but it is good. Jared, what do you think?
I like it a lot, more than I thought I would. You know, it's much harder to sell a Peter Parker cover than it is a Spidey cover. Kind of like you just mentioned, he did like the half face thing, and then the Spidey in the background, like you mentioned. I like the black color at the top, and then the brighter colors at the bottom to sort of bifurcate the cover, if you will.
Oh.
Anyways, I was almost a little mad at it because when I saw the cover, I was like, "Oh man, Peter Parker loses his mind." It was more like everybody else lost their mind in the office besides Peter Parker, but you still got to sell the action, the fun. And as far as that went, I got to admit, it's not a Spidey awesome pose cover or a Green Goblin, but it has a certain amount. Like if I saw it on the spinner rack, I'd be like, I got to find out what's going on here. It has an intrigue that I like. Jason.
I agree with you. Although it didn't have Spider-Man on it, the first thing it made me do is go, wait, what is going on here? That was my legitimate first reaction. And it reminded me a little bit of that movie Kingsman, when like the whole like church turns against old boy. Yeah. He has to beat the crap out of it. So I was like, is that what's going to happen here? And it kind of was, spoiler alert. But I thought it was really well drawn. It's busy. There's a lot of stuff on it, but it all seems to somehow work and fit well. So yeah, I think it was a really good effort, particularly for not having Spider-Man, having Peter Parker as opposed to Spider-Man as the centerpiece of the cover. I'll let Pat wrap it up.
Pat, can I steal a little time from you just for a second?
You can, Jared. Yes.
I want to point out one thing.
Of course.
Okay. I'm done. Go ahead. Now it's your turn. I'm just kidding. One thing that I forgot to point out that I thought was brilliant, and hopefully you weren't going to bring this up, Pat. I really like the typewriter because, as Delvin kind of pointed out, you kind of have to do a double take because Robbie Robertson's kind of upside down, looks like he got a broke neck, face full of fear. It's kind of hard to tell he's Robbie Robertson, and it's kind of hard to tell that all these people are Daily Bugle people. In fact, when I first looked at it, I thought he was like a restaurant, and then I saw the typewriter, and I went, oh, he's at the Bugle. And I think that little detail made all the difference of placing where he was on the cover. So I forgot to mention that, and I wanted.
Good catch there. And you did take what I was going to say.
I don't believe you.
I would have said that regardless.
No, actually, I was going to say, I love that sweater that he's wearing.
Yes, the Charlie Brown-ish sweater.
And he's wearing it inside too. So I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like Peter's got this cool looking sweater. He looks pretty hip, and I like that. But I like how they have it with his colors, the Spider-Man colors on it. So you can kind of see the Spider-Man kind of popping out on that as well with that half face. But I do like the background on the top with the dark, and then you have the spider webs kind of ghoulishly kind of hanging out there like that. I dig that. It looks pretty cool. But I wasn't really sure what was going on with this either. So it did pull me in. Is it a good cover? Memorable cover? Maybe now that I've read it, I might remember kind of what's happening, but would it be one that I might remember down the road? I don't know. We'll see. But with that, let's go ahead and get into the cover rating. We have a 1 through 5 cover rating here for Crusader Chronicles. 5 is you loved it. It tickled your tummy feathers. 4, you really liked it. 3, liked it. 2, didn't like it, and 1, you hated it. It ruffled your tummy feathers. Kind of got you mad, and you were going to go wild, like Petey Crazy Wild. Like had a wild Peter.
Easy.
With that, let's go ahead and find out what we're going to rate this one. And we will start with Jason.
I'm at a 3. I think that it's a good cover, solidly drawn. Is it going on my wall? No way. But I don't think this one was really meant to be a hang on your wall type cover. I think this is one that was meant to grab your attention. And that it did. To me, it's memorable. It's good. That's where I'll leave it.
Delvin.
Oh, Jason, I'm with a 3. I had to gauge as like high 3, but it is a 3. So, yeah, nothing more to be said. What about you, Jared?
Well, if you guys were hoping for a Three's Company, I'm going to ruin it because I'm giving it a 4. I really like the cover. I think it has a lot of energy. And I think I'm highly rewarding of those covers that intrigue me. Like you said, I see that on the spinner rack, and I'm like, I got to know more. So I'm giving it a 4.
Typewriter bumped it up for you?
Typewriter bumped it up for me. Ding!
Well, I'm with the other guys here. I'm a 3. So we got 3 for Three's Company, 4.
I liked it. What can I say?
Which is odd. I find that kind of...
Some things just fit my wheelhouse, just like the niche.
Yeah, we're finding what your wheelhouse is. You got a little different openings in your wheelhouse. Things like it's growing. It's a 3 from me. So with that, why don't we get into the story synopsis brought to you by Delvin.
While attending a demonstration in radiology, high school student Peter Parker was bitten by a spider which had accidentally been exposed to radioactive rays. Through a miracle of science, Peter soon found that he had gained the spider's powers and had, in effect, become a human spider, a Spider-Man.
Stanley presents The Amazing Spider-Man.
The title of this book was A Method in His Madness.
I picked up this device from a yard sale. It was labeled Crazy Harrow's Anger Beam. No way this thing works, right? Now let's try it on the lads.
Hey guys, I'm about to read the synopsis. Where's Jared?
He said he's going to be late and we should start without him.
All right, fair enough. We finally get a resolution to why J. Jonah Jameson has been acting so crazy. Jonas Harrow has been hitting him with basically a crazy beam for like a long time. Harrow has captured Jonah and is still using the beam, but this time on Robbie Robertson.
You know what, Delvin? I've been noticing you playing Homescapes while we podcast. You need to cut that out.
You need to shut your face. Wait, why are we arguing? Anyway, Harrow widens the beam and has all of the Daily Bugle fussing and fighting like Jerry Springer and Maury Povich had a big old baby. Nutty.
Delvin, your podcasting skills are better than your fighting skills. Guess what? You're not that good a podcaster, Delvin.
Oh, you want to see how good at jiu-jitsu I am? Come here and find out. This beating has been a long time coming and no. What's going on? After Spidey saves the Bugle from tearing each other apart, Harrow tells Spidey the whole gig, and Spidey sets off in hot pursuit. Using willpower and guts, Spidey saves J. Jonah Jameson and puts a rightful beat down on Jonas Harrow, and oh, I get it now. Jared!
What? Was it something I did?
Thank you, Delvin, for that synopsis. I don't think it was one of your best ones. Jared, is that thing still on? All right, well, let's go ahead and get to the bric-a-brac. Was it a first read or a reread? Jared.
First read for me.
Jason.
First read.
Delvin.
It was a first read, Pat.
It's a first read for me, too. Oh, you know what that means. It's a rainbow.
You gotta have that part.
I always gotta have the boop, 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 boop. Oh, all right. Well, I'm so happy now. That made me happy from all that negativity just before. I'm so happy now. Speaking about being happy, let's get to some high, lows, and what does for this. And we'll start with Delvin. You got a high, low, or what the?
I'll give it a high because I do like how they wrapped up the whole J. Jonah Jameson thing and gave it a pretty logical conclusion. It's like, because he just flipped the heck out about, I don't know, it's been about a year and a half real time. And so it was a good reason as to why Jameson would have flipped out like he did. And then they also gave Jonah a little bit of a compliment by saying, yeah, he has his quirks, but he's so dang stubborn that it makes for a very indomitable will. So it was a pretty decent shine on J. Jonah Jameson and a pretty good study of his character.
Yeah, this one was really played out for a while, and me thinking and going back to what was going on with Jonah and all the different times that it was happening. And I like that. I think it was very good build up for it.
Me too.
Jason, what's your thoughts?
Building on the J. Jonah Jameson theme a little bit here, my son and I just watched the first Spider-Man movie, and he really mentioned there's that scene in there where Green Goblin is choking him and trying to get him to give up who's the photographer that takes the pictures of Spider-Man, and he won't give him up, you know. And my son made a comment. He's like, that's kind of heroic, you know, that says a lot about J. Jonah Jameson. And I think that struck me. That really, in spite of everything, he is Spider-Man's greatest foe, but at the same time, he's got this core to him that just kind of sings. And it was brought out in this comic book. And I laughed, and yet I was kind of impressed by him as a character when they were like, he is too stubborn to go full crazy. Like, no matter what this mad scientist guy does to him, he can dial that thing up to 11. He can't ultimately push J. Jonah Jameson fully over the edge because Jameson is just too stubborn. His superpower is his stubbornness.
That's a good way of putting it.
And I really admired that. And like you, Delvin, I was glad they wrapped it up, and I liked the mad scientist angle. And I liked the fact that he didn't really go, you know, full bonkers, that he was manipulated into this. So I was really satisfied overall with the conclusion of the story and with J. Jonah Jameson's character.
Jared, hello, what the?
I got highs for days on this one. I'm going to glow this issue up. When I saw the new creative team, Stern and Byrne, which is fun to say, I automatically thought, okay, sort of a one and done issue. There is a filler. It's off the shelf, something like that. And then I started reading the story and saw that it was connecting story elements from many issues ago, like finishing the Jameson thing, connecting elements from things that we've read in the past. And man, you are going to get massive points from me if you're able to do something like that. If you're able to say, hey, the whole time this was going on and all the seeds are there, you go back and read it and you'll see them.
Yep.
And this is the payoff. And I was just so impressed, and I got to wondering, I said, you know, is Stern starting an arc? And I don't know what's going on. I cheated and I looked ahead a little bit. The creative team for the next issue is going to be completely different. For the next issue is going to be completely different. So I don't know what's going on in the Amazing Spider-Man offices right now, but there's something, because the creative teams just keep changing. And like I said, a lot of times when you get that sort of this thing going on where creative teams are changing and you can tell maybe the book's going to go in a new direction, but they got to buy some time. The quality of the book suffers. They become filler. And this was awesome. This was great. Even if it's filler, I can't even tell that it's filler. Like, it's just weaves in so naturally with what we've seen. Excellent storytelling to Roger Stern. And I'll leave it at that for my round one.
Very good. I think I'll agree with you on that it was something that was weaved through there. I myself had to go, wait a minute, this guy, the Harrow, we've seen him before. And then they start telling us where we've seen him and who he was all in control. You know, he was controlling Will-O-the-Wisp. And I'm like, oh yeah, no wonder why Will-O-the-Wisp was back again and all that. But it was good. It put that together over and over as he was trying to get somebody to build up something to take down Spider-Man, or just, you know, make the world crazy enough so he can take it over. And I like that. Delvin, do you got another high, low, or what the for round two?
I'll put it as a what the. It could have fallen into Silly Spidey. I could think of two things that just happened during the course of the book that could fall into Silly Spidey. But since you mentioned this and Jared started it, I'll tie it in. Like, here's a thought bubble from Jonas Harrow. He says, that wall-crawling menace has thwarted me for too long. My greatest recreated men, Hammerhead, the Kangaroo, and Will-O-the-Wisp.
I thought, yeah, he's putting together the Sinister Sucks.
That's like that's your best, huh?
Somewhere even Stegron's like, no, sir. No, sir.
Like I'd be mad too. I don't know if I'd be mad at Spidey. I'd be mad at my teachers at where I got my degree at Evil College or something, because those three suck. So,
hey, Stegron, you want to join my team? I have scruples.
Standards.
So yeah, it can fall into silly Spidey or what but I do like overall though that Jonas had a pretty good scheme, and he had been doing this the scheme behind the scenes for a while, and it didn't pay off at the end, but it was a pretty smart scheme overall. So he gets credit for that, even though like the recreated men that he made or whatever, they weren't so great. This is a better plan than those three combined, actually.
Jason, high, low, or what the?
I'll go with another high. I liked how Stern was using Spider-Man's powers creatively. The spider sense, we've talked about that, how different creators kind of use it loosely. Sometimes they turn it on, sometimes they turn it off, power it up, power it down, whatever. But in this case, it turned out to be one of his best assets because he had to trust his spider sense to figure out what was going on. Mm-hmm. And I like that. And it seemed very plausible, very realistic, very within his power set. And he also talked about using his reflexes and endurance during that story, which isn't something we normally see. So Spider-Man was relying on powers outside of what we normally see Spider-Man use. And then it kind of summed up at the end when Harrow pulls the gun on him and Spider-Man just kind of laughs at him like, you really think you're the first chump to pull a gun on me? Like, that's not even a threat. And just to wrap it up, that panel from Byrne of him just laying out Harrow was spectacular. I really enjoyed that whole sequence of events.
Yeah, definitely. The art in this was definitely nice to look at. Jarrett, do you have a high-low with the?
I do. It's that the art in this is definitely nice to look at. No, I was totally going to talk about the art, and I'm going to. I mean, John Byrne has been, for me, I'm the minority on this show. For me, the saving grace of the X-Men for the last dozen or so issues or whatever. Like, his art is awesome. And when I saw it, I'm like, holy crap, John Byrne on Spider-Man? All right. Let's go full speed. So my high in the second round is going to just be sort of like the Delvin, prepare yourself, come off mute. Culmination of the art, the story, and the cover. The cover made me go, what's going on? This is bonkers. And then I opened it up and I went, oh my gosh, John Byrne. And then, oh my gosh, a brilliantly weaved story, but brilliantly weaved, whatever, by Roger Stern. This thing is incredible. This is one of my favorite issues we've read. Guess what I'm going to score it? I'll tell you later.
Everybody going to get up? We'll see.
I think it paid off in ways that weird filler issues like this shouldn't pay off. I mean, we basically apologies to Keith Pollard, but I mean, I'm not going to mince words. We got an art upgrade. We did. And I also feel like we got a storytelling upgrade. It's just great. And no slight on the folks that we had before. It just hit me in all the right spots.
I would like to add, I'm going to pull a Pat here and just say, I think Stern really demonstrated this respect for the character coming out of the gate. I love Stern's Avengers stuff. I go back to him, so I mean, this guy is a very talented writer, but in this, and you brought it up, Jared, he was tying threads together from issues way back. And I think he paid more attention to detail to the plots woven by other creators than they did themselves in some cases.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Definitely. This was a story that was well put together, had a final finale on it. And you're right, Jared. Was this a filler? It kind of seemed like possibly, but I think with just Stern writing it, it felt like a normal story and an ending for what was happening.
Yeah, again, Pat, I cheated a little bit and looked ahead, and I've looked at, I think, the next three, and each of the next three has a completely different creative team, different cover artists. Something's clearly going on in the Spidey offices. Like, they're They're gearing up for something.
Okay.
They're probably spinning their wheels for whatever the permanent creative team's going to be, because you got the feeling, I got the feeling after 200 that Wolfman and Pollard were done with the book.
Yeah.
But then like in 2-in-1 hit and it's like, oh, they're still here. Okay. I mean, not that it was a bad thing, because Pollard, when he actually has time, produces great work, and Wolfman produced a very solid run of Amazing Spider-Man. But it was almost like, they finished their set and then they did the encore and then they just kept playing. And it's like,
They were like, hey, can you do a Punisher book? Can you do a Dazzler book?
Yeah. It's like my feet hurt. Can I go home now?
Play the B-sides.
So yeah, that's what it was. So I think they're biding time for whoever the new creative team, because I don't even remember. I do not remember this run of Amazing Spidey. So I don't know who that main creative team is going to be for the next 2-3 years. I have no clue.
I think it's interesting because knowing that it's going to be a couple different changes down the road, like Jared said, this is probably them putting the characters and pieces back to somewhat of a normalcy again, because we had Crazy Jonah going on. We're like, oh, that guy's crazy. And then Robbie's getting crazy. And it's just like, there was a lot of just crazy stuff happening. And now we know why, because of Harrow there and, all the crazy characters like Will-O-the-Wisp and Hammer. Oh, what did he do for Hammerhead? I still don't understand that one.
Hammerhead has an enormous, big freaking metal head.
Yeah, but he was Ghost Hammerhead way back then, wasn't he?
I think they're implying that Harrow created Hammerhead originally.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Gave him a big head.
Yeah, I mean, what else are you going to do? I want to jump in one more time and do some glow up for John Byrne. Go back and flip through these pages, and especially once he gets to, even before he gets to Harrow's, look at some of the backgrounds of the city. Then he gets to Harrow's and look at all the tech he's drawing. I forget who the inker on this book is, but I guarantee you, as an inker myself, when you see all that tech, you're like, son of a because it's a pain in the butt to ink all that stuff. What struck me is Byrne's on X-Men right now. He basically did this in his spare time, and look at the not cutting corners that he did. I'm impressed as heck. The only thing the only slide I'll give him is you can tell he's not comfortable with Spidey yet. He doesn't have a grip on Spidey totally, but he makes up for it with just detail work in the backgrounds a lot. It's just wow,
beautiful.
Yeah, Byrne is like turning out magic over on the X-Men, and then he's like, "Oh, by the way, I just pooped out this Spider-Man issue that looks incredible."
For what it's worth, it lists John Byrne and Gene Day as the artists. So
interesting.
A little bit of Byrne, a little bit of Day, and at this point, no one is going to blame John Byrne. It's like, oh, really? You couldn't lay down full pencils, Byrne?
No,
because he already put out X-Men, so that he had time to do another flagship book.
Yeah,
that is very impressive.
If I was Gene Day, I would have been like, okay, that computer bank is a black wall. And that turbine engine is a solid black turbine engine. But they put the effort in.
And when you saw that cover, you're thinking like, oh man, what's this going to be like on the inside? But it definitely paid off on the inside with the artwork along with the story. Let's find out the silly Spidey moment. We'll start with Jarrett. What's your silly Spidey for this issue?
Jason mentioned it before. Harrow pulling the gun on him. And Spidey, I don't know if I'm stealing the exact phrase of the book, but literally in the blink of an eye, I was like, no, that doesn't work. That it wasn't even a quip or anything. It was just like, seriously, bro? And it made me laugh. So yeah, Harrow trying to pull a gun on my man Spider-Man.
Delvin, what's your silly Spidey?
Yeah, the other thing that just happened in the story that I found just hilarious was Spidey. I mean, in his Spidey sense, he's like, all right, this is a huge thing that takes a huge amount of power. So, okay, I'm going to take out this turbine first. He took out the turbine. It's like, all right, looks like it's going to oscillate in between the turbines. And so he eventually had to go to another plan. Meanwhile, J. Jonah Jameson musters up all the courage to pull out a wall plug for a fan or something.
Answering machine.
Yeah.
Answering machine. And thought that he shut down the whole operation. That is hilarious. That is so freaking funny. So yeah, that's my silly Spidey.
And again, it's that burn art that sells it, because that's just that smug look on his face as he's holding that plug. He's like, I have the biggest in the world.
I thought he was actually doing it too. I'm like following this along. I'm like, wait a minute. All this buildup and all he had to do was just unplug that little.
I know I've been waxing Burns' car too, but Jason mentioned that panel. Look how good that panel's drawn. Look at the lighting in that panel with Jameson looking so proud of himself makes it funny, but just the art in it is like, God dang. That tiny little panel is just incredible. I like the art in this book.
Yeah.
Jason, what's your silly Spidey?
I'm going back to the scene where the fight's starting to break out in the Daily Bugle, and specifically between Robbie and Marla. And somewhere Marla gets like a freaking Bowie knife. And just has that pull. And she's like, I'm going to cut you, man. And I'm just like, where did you get that? Like, do you carry that around in case you have to raid a frigate at some point?
I think it is a letter opener.
But it's like a really big letter opener.
He's like,
ABC, Jason, always be carrying, son.
she was packing and not going to mess around with Robbie. And then Robbie's like, you come at me with that, I'm going to slap you like you're hosting the Oscars, man. It's this two are just about to go at it.
Keep Marla's name out. You know what? Never mind. It's been done.
Good follow-up joke, though.
Good joke, though.
Well, mine was just going to be the Jonah unplugging it too, and just that look on his face. It was pretty good. There was a lot of decent dialect that was in this one as well too, and a lot of good character moments, I think, as well. And I don't think it was half and half Peter and half Spidey in this one. So I think it really paid off on this. Did a well-rounded job of filling it all out. With that, let's go ahead and get into the ratings. And it's a 1 through 5 rating for this one. 5 is you loved it. It tickled your tummy feathers. 4, you really liked it. 3, liked it. 2, didn't like it. And 1, you hated it. It ruffled your tummy feathers. We're going to go back around and start with Jarrett.
My tummy feathers are about pop, boys. This is a 5 all day long. Sorry for the visual.
Jason.
I can't quite go as high as a 5. I wish I could to see Jared's enthusiasm on this, but I'm at a 4 for a filler issue. Filler issue should not be 4s, but this one is up there with the best of them, and really enjoyed it for all the reasons we've talked about. So I'll just wrap it up there and say 4.
Dylan.
I also think it's a 4. I love Jared's enthusiasm on it. Like, he was raving about this book to me yesterday because I read it yesterday evening, and he was like, "Oh man, it's great." I'm not gonna spoil. It's great. I love it. Like, but okay, go ahead and read it. I really love it. It's great. Okay, all right. And
yeah, that says something.
And when I read it, like at the end of it, I definitely had the warm tummy feathers feeling, because it's like it was a good resolution to the story in a way that was not insulting to the fans, but it did put things back to status quo for J. Jonah Jameson and Spidey. So very well done story. And hey, if you have a filler that has a legend in the industry like Roger Stern and another legend in the industry like John Byrne, you did okay.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to be agreeing with you and Jason as well on this, as it's a 4, but I'm really like, oh man, I want to jump up there with Jared on that 5.
You can come to 5 Island if you want. Jared gets up now.
Can't wait to see what you score the X-Men.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Like, oh no, what's it? What makes me wonder too is what other story threads are out there for this that they need to finish up or at least wrap up. I don't know if there is.
I don't think there are any right now. Like maybe the Black Cat. That's about it. The Black Cat storyline's still going on, and where she's like, I love me some Spidey. I'm crazy about him. But I think that's about it off of the top of my head. Because
I think for me, the biggest question I have is what's going to be the resolution of Peter working at this other newspaper and coming back to the Bugle. And I suspect that there's something going on
There is. Remember, we have not seen who the publisher is.
Yes.
Right.
For what is it?
Globe?
Daily Globe.
Yeah.
We haven't seen who that guy is. They've kept whomever that is a mystery.
That's the one that's in the forefront of my mind right now.
And the dangling thread that I have, in addition to the ones we've mentioned, is because I know they're coming back because I've read Spidey comics forever. But like, I'd like to see the resolution and the repair of Ned and Betty's relationship.
That too.
Mm-hmm.
And Peter's. Who's he going to be sweeting on? And
Spoiler: he's gonna marry Mary Jane in like 1988. Boom! I just ruined it for you.
oh. There's still some time.
They're going to totally never. You know what? We'll get there when we get there.
Well, so obviously there's some stuff still hanging out there. So maybe in the next few issues, those might get taken care of, or we'll see. They might get dropped or whatever. But I'm interested to see. And I think with the artists and creators kind of changing around for a little bit, I'm interested to see what happens there as well, too. So that's going to bring us to the end of this part of the show. You got a comment or a question? Send us an email at contact@longboxcrusade.com or make a comment on the Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook page. You can also leave us a voicemail that we just might play on the show. Leave us a message at 707-532-5269. That's 707-532-LBOX. Pick up the phone. We'll be right back.
$300,000 words, 5,000 individual entries, 453 pages, 271 stories covered, 80 original illustrations. It all adds up to one book. The James Bond Lexicon, the unofficial guide to the worlds of James Bond in movies, novels, TV, and comics by Alan J. Porter and Gillian J. Porter. Now available from White Rocket Books and via your favorite online bookstore. For more information, visit the companion website at jamesbondlexicon.online or follow us on Twitter at BondLexicon.
Welcome back from the break. Now let's get to the second featured comic for this episode, which is determined by our Crusader Club members. Club members get to vote on this segment using the online poll only available on the Longbox Crusade page at patreon.com. As always, we want to thank our Crusader Club members for voting to help determine the programming for this show. If you want to get in on the voting and all the other amazing benefits of being a Crusader Club member, just head on over to patreon.com and search for Longbox Crusade. You can join for as little as $1 a month and help determine which each episode's second feature will be. For this episode, the Crusader Club members selected Uncanny X-Men number 135. The credits for this issue are provided by Mike's Amazing World of Comics website. Publisher was Marvel. Cover dated July 1980, but its on-sale date was April 15th, 1980. Cover price is 40 cents. Editor is Jim Salicrep. Writer is Chris S. Claremont.
Esquire.
Plotter and penciler goes to John L. Byrne. Anchor is Terry Austin. Letterer is Tom Orzechowski, and colorist is Bob Sharon. What?
That can't be right.
I guess.
Yeah. Well, maybe
mean,
Glennis had a day off for the month. Who knows?
We can get ready for the bleep button, Pat. We can give Bob the "you didn't up" award, I guess.
Way to stay in the lines award.
The I guess is good that, but you're not Glennis. So, we're going to throw the award at you award. Here's your award.
Bob Sharon. Sharon this beating. This got dark.
Whoa. This is printed in Uncanny X-Men trade paperback. Classic X-Men number 41. Essential X-Men volume 2. and Marvel Masterworks Volume 40 of Uncanny X-Men Volume 5. Cover credits go to penciler John L. Byrne and inker Terry Austin. And speaking about the cover, let's get a cover description from Jared.
The Marvel Comics Group banner, like the banners you can buy at Paragon Signworks over on North 15th Avenue, is red with black letters. The floating heads of Wolverine, Colossus, Storm, Cyclops, and Nightcrawler fill the orange corner box. And if it's floats you like, try McAlpine's Diner on North 7th Street. The X-Men logo is white with black highlights, and it's being crushed by a phoenix with a crazy look in her eye. And if you need your eyes checked, Urban Eye Care on North Central is a great place to check out. So yeah, the main action is Phoenix in her red and yellow garb, as found at Maggie's Thrift on East McDonald Road, towering over the defeated X-Men. In fact, a cover blurb simply states, defeated by Dark Phoenix. Valley of the Sun!
All right. Thank you, Jared.
Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
I looked up over all actual businesses.
He Google mapped it or something. Yeah.
Those are all real businesses in Phoenix, Arizona. So, hey, if you're listening in the Phoenix area, visit those businesses and ask them to maybe join our Crusaders Club for as little as $1 a month, because I just shouted out all those businesses in Phoenix right here on the podcast. And by the way, Valley of the Sun is the Phoenix City motto.
There you go.
I am Phoenix.
With that, let's go ahead and get to some quick cover thoughts. And we will start with Delvin.
Not bad. Clearly, the action is going to be on Dark Phoenix, and she is looking crazy. And I definitely like how they involved the logo and how it had her crushing something that was seemingly huge as well. They kind of had to add some of the other X-Men, and I actually don't know what they could have put for the background. It was very clear that the focus was on Dark Phoenix. So I think that was a mission very well accomplished. Jared, maybe if you have the inclination to bring up the old color wheel and let us know if that green can coincide with maybe that yellow and the dark red that was going on with the Phoenix's costume.
Absolutely, sir. Green and red are contrasting colors, and they always do that nicely.
Go ahead, dude. Keep talking.
Oh, about the cover? I will.
Yep.
This to me is a cover that you know it when you see it because it's famous. It's a famous cover. Does that mean that it's Byrne's best work? I don't think it is. I don't think it's his best work by far, but it gets some notoriety because of how recognizable it is. So, yeah, overall, she looks crazy. Good job on the complementary colors and the contrasting colors. And like Delvin said, it's all about crushing that X-Men logo. That's what makes the cover cool. If she ain't crushing that logo, this cover is downright kind of lame, to be honest with you. But that sells it. Yeah, it's hard to fight against a well-known cover like this. And Jason probably knows more about that than me, so let's let him talk.
I think you nailed it. Maybe Byrne was busy working on Spider-Man at the time of the cover. So I will give him A for creativity. It does a really good job of centerpiecing Phoenix as this new interstellar threat. And we'll get into the details of that a little bit more when we go into the book. But the cover really pulls that out. Obviously, she's just single-handedly defeated the X-Men with ease. And as a coup de grace, she's just crushing their logo right there on the cover, in your face. Is it the best work? No. It kind of lacks in details in the background. The way that the characters are kind of sprawled about, the other X-Men that she's defeated, it doesn't look well thought out. It could have been more creative, I think. But it is a great cover. I will say there are two covers in X-Men history that I can think about where the X-Men logo is being obliterated. It's this one, which is an iconic cover in the seminal issue. Yep, and Jared's got it. The other one is the one that's not so much an iconic issue, but the cover I think is really great, where Cyclops, he's fighting like this underwater beast, and in desperation he's like blasting and he's shattering the X-Men logo with his blast. It's like close combat and the X-Men logo is just caught up in the blast. And to me, that's a much more compelling and memorable cover than this. So, good effort, iconic cover. It's going to score pretty high, but probably not as high as it should have. And I feel like I've run on too long and I should let Pat talk.
I think you guys covered it all pretty well here. It's simply done, and it's that logo getting crushed that really pulls it off here. And I think when cover artists do that and kind of pull that logo in? Because you're so used to just it kind of being a static overlay of it. I like it when they do play with the colors of the logo sometime to help set the mood or offset what's going on in the background. Is this iconic because of the cover, or is it iconic because of the storyline that's happening? Is the question. Do you know it because of the bigger story that's happening on the inside of it? And so this cover just kind of gets, a pass or a higher mark because of that story too. Well, and that's all right though. With that, why don't we go find out what we are going to rate this as a cover? And it's a 1 through 5 cover rating. Again, 5 is you loved it. It gave you a ring to swing on. 4, you really liked it. 3, liked it. 2, didn't like it. And 1, you hated it. It turned you into a baby. And you're never going to come back and be an adult ever again and ever have your powers. Ever. With that, Delvin, 1 through 5.
It's a 4.
4?
Giant Phoenix plus involving the logo and crushing. Very original idea. And it was well colored. Gets a 4.
Jason.
Yeah, you summed it up best, Pat. Probably from a technical, artistic perspective, like we said, it's not Burns' best work, but this is a seminal book. So, I would even consider putting it up on my wall just because it's so iconic to the X-Men lore. But it's not the greatest work, so I'm kind of fluctuating back and forth. So I'm going to land on a 4 as well.
Jared?
Artistically, I like it at a 3, but it will get bumped to 4 due to its status. I'm not even a big X-Men guy, and I'm at a yard sale and I see someone selling this comic for $1. I can't get that dollar out fast enough. Immediately recognizable.
If you don't have $1, be like, will you take my son? Just straight up change.
I agree with you guys as well, too. It's hard for me to give it a high 5 on it. Is definitely a high 4. So with that, boom, boom, like a boom, boom, boom,
like a boom, boom. Open the door. Get on the floor.
On the floor.
The silent sound.
I walk the dinosaur.
All right. Well, with that cover description and rating out of the way, let's get into the story synopsis from Jason.
Cyclops, Storm, Banshee, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, Colossus, Children of the Atom, students of Charles Xavier, mutants, feared and hated by the world they have sworn to protect. These are the strangest heroes of all. These are the X-Men.
Stanley presents the Uncanny X-Men.
Okay, fellas, so I want to get a little creative with this. I want to mix it up a little bit. I was feeling my inner beat poetry going on. So, just imagine we're sitting, there you go, popping. We're sitting there, we're having some drinks. We're sitting about in this dark room, smoking some cigars. And I come up with this little poem, and it's called Dark Phoenix. The X-Men fight Phoenix in the opening act. They get their tails whooped, and that's a fact. Phoenix flies up into outer space. She eats the sun and kills off an entire race. The Shi'ar cruiser enters the fray. Phoenix simply ups and blows them away. The captain's last thought is, what a witch. His last act is to Lilandra he does snitch. Scott sits with his team and is feeling all hurt. Until he learns the Jean is returning to have Earth for dessert. That's my synopsis. Thank you.
Groovy, man, groovy. I can dig that. I dig what you're selling there, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's go ahead and get to some bric-a-brac. Is it a first read or a reread? And we'll start with Jared.
First read, Pat. Odd for a famous book. I would have thought I read this, but no, didn't ring any bells. First read.
Jason?
This is a first read for me as well. I checked and I did not have 136. Or 135. Sorry, I got 136, but not this one. So this is a new one for me.
Delvin?
First read for me, Daddy-O.
Sweet.
Nice.
Wow. It's a first read for me, too. That means, holy cow, we've done it. Double rainbow.
Butterflies in the sky. I can fly twice.
We don't need no music.
That's a reader, right? Wow. Double rainbows. Man, that's awesome. All right. Well, since we got the double rainbow out of the way, let's go into some high, lows, or wetas for this issue. And let's start with Jason. You got a high, low, or weta?
I'll start it off with a high. It opened in a cliffhanger. Obviously, I need to go back and read and find out how they ended up having the plane pretty much destroyed around them. But once again, I enjoyed the teamwork of how they survived the fall. Just Colossus realizing that he's got to get to the ground first to try to help catch anybody else. So he actually accelerates his fall. Kurt uses his teleportation and his acrobatic ability to survive the fall. Storm is just forming a human chain, catching folk as they're falling. So I thought that it was really kind of interesting. And then they have to gear up for battle. Storm's able to give them a little bit of a breather by using her powers to their utmost to create some separation between Phoenix and the team. But then, of course, Phoenix just lays waste to him. It's not even a contest. So it was a pretty good opening act, I thought.
Delvin?
Yeah, whole issue was a table setter, but it was a pretty ominous and scary table setter because I think it was Wolverine that mentioned, they were like a freaking popsicle stick in a tornado. They had no chance against Dark Phoenix at all, period. The end. There was nothing there. I do want to add, I absolutely wanted to see what happened to Jason Wingard because clearly he was hospitalized. Him and the big guy, I can't remember the big guy's name off the top of my head, Leland.
Leland,
yeah.
Yes. Leland was also hospitalized. So, I mean, that was a brutal battle. So I'm interested in seeing what happened there. But just keeping it to one point, it's scary, the power that Dark Phoenix has. And it definitely kind of just brought, I mean, could you imagine even having that level of power, what it would do to you? And it's just an overall interesting storyline, just period, because it is literally the worst case scenario that the X-Men could have possibly imagined, or I should say not the X-Men, Professor Xavier could have imagined. And he kind of saw this coming. And he even admitted as much. And so he put those psychic blockers in place to sort of help Jean Grey along in case something like this would ever happen. It's not like he knew about the Phoenix, but he knew how immensely powerful Jean Grey really was. And now that she is completely uninhibited, plus this crazy alien thing, scary. A lot of just unlimited potential was revealed in this book. And it was intriguing to read.
Do you guys think that the Phoenix let the X-Men live either because Jean or because underpowered at the moment?
More of Jean than underpowered. There was more. She had more than enough. Or excuse me, the Dark Phoenix had more than enough to kill the X-Men. I think it was Jean that held
back
Phoenix back from killing the X-Men. Because, I mean, keep in mind, you've got an Omega level mutant in Storm, and she literally blew Phoenix away, and Phoenix came back 3 minutes later, no, I'm still good. That was the biggest punch that the X-Men could possibly even offer. Crazy. And then Colossus would probably be number 2, and it's oh, you're just Peter Rasputin again. You're just normal Peter. You're not even
carrying that heavy tree.
Yeah, just insane amount of power.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. The only thing that saved the X-Men in that situation was whatever tether Jean has left is what saved them at that moment.
Jared, did you want to weigh in and then weigh in on the first round?
I actually literally had that thought while I was reading it because, well, let me lay out maybe a couple, 3 negatives for you from Jared's point of view. And then it'll tie into the question about what saved the X-Men. Okay, so from Jared's point of view, and if you guys don't know this, I'm not the biggest X-Men fan. I know. The first thing that bothered me is Claremont's famous for wordy words, and he couldn't quite give us an insight as to what happened last issue. Like, seems like really important.
That's your fault, man. If you're not reading it, that's your fault.
Don't agree. If it's that big and important, there needs to be some kind of a recap, like Jason Wingard down, Leland down, X-Men ship blown up. Like, how?
They told you, if you want to know, go read these issues.
Okay, fine. I'll give you that. Complaint number 2. You guys remember why I didn't like Proteus?
Mm-hmm.
Because he can do literally anything. Well, guess what, folks? We're right back in that territory again. I'm like, does Chris know how to write any other villain besides the one that can do anything? And then I was kind of mad when she left. I was like, why didn't she just kill the X-Men? She has all the power in the world. There's nothing to stop her. But that's when I had that moment, like, I think there's enough Jean in there holding it back. I'll cut him some slack on. There's enough Jean holding it back. Okay. Cut him some slack. But again, we're dealing with a villain that can do anything with their minds. Like, okay, yeah, we're retreading this ground again. And third, Chris, from the moment I've started reading him in this X-Men, it is clear to me that this dude loves Star Trek. He will do anything to get the X-Men out into space, into Star Trek-y situations. He will do anything. And I just like the X-Men best when they're grounded on Earth. I don't like the whole cosmic angle. Like, I think Chris Claremont missed his bus. His bus was the Green Lantern bus. He loves the cosmic. He needs to be right in the cosmic, maybe Nova, but he will do anything to get these X-Men into space, into Star Trek adventures. And it's very clear to me that he loves Star Trek.
You should probably skip about the next 15 issues.
Yeah, I know what's coming. Like, and then of course you guys know the minute he mentioned, back in issue, whatever, when Jean was inside the crystal, I was like, oh, that's the one.
The Imcron crystal, Jared.
Yeah.
The Imcron crystal.
That's the one I didn't even finish. I'm getting mad. I almost like it. All right, so there's all my negatives laid out in one round. That doesn't mean I hated this book, though. I finished it, and I do have good things to say. Back to you, Pat.
I want to add one thing.
Please do.
And the one thing that I will add is what I'm going to give Claremont credit for is he didn't come out of anywhere with the whole Phoenix power thing, at least in that he had established it before. This was like, when we started reading X-Men, basically, or very shortly after, and that storyline where Jean, who at the time was a low-level telepath, and she bravely sacrificed herself to get the X-Men back from space to Earth for the first time. And that's when the Phoenix powers started to resurrect themselves. And so at least give Claremont the credit that this has been about 4 years or so in the making. And that he didn't just go from, she did the rescue and then they crash landed in the ocean. And then it was like, those Phoenix powers flared for a second and we got to see the potential, then it went away. And it slowly was brought up, and it took a master manipulator to just completely bring them out. I wish we could have covered last X-Men, even though I think, what did he do? The Flash was good. The Flash was good too. So, so there were some good comic books going on right now, gents, but that I at least wanted to add that Claremont did establish that power level.
I will give him all the credit in the world for that he did the slow burn think there's a pun in there somewhere. I don't know, but he did the slow burn build with Phoenix, and I will give him credit for that. One decision I would have made differently, and maybe he would in hindsight too, is don't make the villain they square off against right before Phoenix shows up, Proteus, because they're too similar. Or it's the same beats again. Oh, they can do anything. You turn a tree into gold, and it's like, stop giving me the same villain beat is the one thing I would change. But I do give him credit for the long haul of I think as soon as he got that book, I think he said, this is an untapped character. We've seen it happen like with Sue Storm. Like she was, the Invisible Woman. And then some writers have said, you realize how powerful she is? How insanely powerful Sue Storm is? Yeah. And I like that fact of it. So again, it's not going to be all negative.
Do you think if the build up to this and all that, and then her going out to space right away, is that what kind of threw you?
It didn't
It's like
help.
Too much?
Yeah, it was too much. Like I said, I've noticed this trend with Claremont, and I'm not even joking when I said he clearly loves Star Trek. Like I can tell he loves Star Trek.
He wrote a Star Trek X-Men crossover.
There you go. Like I can tell by the language he uses, he's a Star Trek guy. And it's like he will do anything to get them to space. So yes, Pat, I do think it was the 1-2 punch of here we have another OP villain, and now we have him going to space again. And I think it was just a little too much for me at once. Not the biggest fan of cosmic books either, so that doesn't help.
Got to open your mind.
Yeah, I know.
Possibilities there.
Do you want me to read the synopsis again? Do we need another poetry beat?
Again, let's get another round going because I want to say good things.
I'm going to touch on the artwork on here. Just phenomenal. Again, you got Byrne. Crazy good throughout this one. And with all that's happening, it definitely tells you the story through the pictures as well, too. Not only through Claremont's writing, but the pictures help it sail along with this one. Delvin, you got another high-low or what the?
I'm actually out of comments. I think we covered most of the story. It was kind of a long story, but it was cut and dried up. But I'll talk a little bit more just about the place setting of it. You know that, and Claremont has done this before. It is a big story because it covered so many. Like you got the Beast that came in from the Avengers. You got Angel from one side with Professor X. Then you had Lalandra in, and then the Shi'ar ship that came. So there are pretty much anything that he has access to in his X universe, he is bringing in for this foe. And the last time he did that, I think it was the Proteus thing. I mean, it shows just how immensely powerful this foe is, that in order to even have it come to a plausible end, you're going to need to bring in everybody to solve this. So it was interesting just to see how many different people that Claremont and Byrne pulled in to begin this storyline, or I should say to bring this storyline to its ending. That's a good place to stop.
To include my man, Dr. Corbeau, back again, getting a couple panels of love.
I was wondering, is Corbeau, where was he? And I'm like, man, that guy's got
he's the most interesting character that they don't give me anything on. I'm like, this guy's living a life, man. I need to know more.
Yeah, that dude is the most interesting man in the world. He doesn't have any powers, but he has an F ton of money, son. Good grief.
I'm like, what's he doing in space? Where was he before? And
I don't know, man.
He's all Jeff Bezos up there and everything.
He's musking it. He's gone full Elon.
But you're right, Delvin. They bring in Fantastic Four. You got Reed, and you got Strange. You got Spider-Man. And am I missing anybody else that they brought in? They brought in
Silver Surfer.
Yeah, Silver Surfer too. To go, wow, this is getting cosmic level happening here. So
yeah, it was so big, it grabbed the entire notice of the entire Marvel universe. And yeah, I just want to piggyback because that was going to be my highest in this round. But
go ahead.
No, I just absolutely agree with you that they did a good job of saying, hey, this is so big, everyone's noticing. That's kind of cool.
Definitely.
Not my turn.
Jason, you got a high, low, or what the?
I'm going to go with a high again. I want to address, Jared's point about Proteus being so close to Phoenix. That's a fair point, one that I hadn't really considered before. But I think with the passage of time, when I look back on these stories, it's about tragedy and family are the themes, both with Proteus and with Phoenix. In this case, as Delvin has pointed out, they're bringing everybody back. Beast has become, at this point in time, a storied member of the Avengers. And he is having the time of his life with the Avengers. He's a hero. He loves being a hero. And they allude to it in this book, but at the time, the Avengers received a call to go and fight the X-Men, and he deleted that call because at the end, they were his family. And this is where he starts to go back because he realizes he can't turn his back on his family. And they kind of set it up that Beast is going to be a critical point in the upcoming battle. You've got Charles coming back to the team, you know, and honestly, I don't know how I feel about that because Charles sometimes hurts as much as he helps. His heart's in the right place, but sometimes he's too smart for his own good. And he's part of the reason why we're in this predicament right now.
Can I say something real quick, Jason? I remember reading like later because they will revisit this in X history. Charles Xavier has a lot of, you know the saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? Let's just say Chuck is
a lot of paving.
He is on his road to hell because he had some good intentions, but man, he a lot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He's like being able to read somebody's
right.
mind, he would know what the mistakes he's made.
Man, whoo, Chuck, boy, and when he makes mistakes, he makes them big. He makes them big.
But that's the thing I love about this book, too, is that there are mistakes that are made. And what we saw in this book, we just read it for the first time. I think all of us read it for the first time. But the effects of this book are going to carry over today, because Jean Grey just murdered 5 billion people. There's nothing that's going to change that. And we're going to see the immediate consequences unfold. And as a family, how they deal with it. And as a family, how they have to make choices. Is she a villain? Is she still Jean? She's been one of us. How are we going to approach this? And it's going to take a toll on every one of them. And it's tragic and it's joyful. I mean, it's just really emotional. So that's my long-winded appeal to say, I get it. The villains are powerful. They're very powerful. That's not ultimately the point. I would encourage folks to go forward reading this from here, thinking of this as like, this is a family dealing with a family emergency right now. And it's a bit of a soap opera. There's a lot of action, but there is a lot of drama coming. So I'll leave it at that. That's a little soapbox.
I want to add a little bit more to that too, because Jason just brought up some good points. And to keep in mind, because I mentioned this before, keep in mind Jean Grey before Claremont Byrne, when it was about 8-9 years of continuity, and Jean Grey was a low-level telepath. She wasn't that powerful. She was.
Yeah, can you tell what I'm thinking, Gene? Make you a sandwich? You got it. Your powers are on point.
Yeah, she was ordinary, basically, and she often needed protecting. And so, which kind of course, endeared her to a team. She had 4 other boys on the team. At least 3 of them doted on her like crazy. Iceman did, Warren Worthington did, and of course, Cyclops did. So it made it all the more pointed that she's the one that just went insane with this power. Could you imagine like the person that like kind of went crazy was Wolverine? Would anyone be that surprised? Because he was a loose cannon. It's like, oh yeah, crazy short dude with the claws. Yeah, oh, he went crazy. Ooh. It was such an interesting juxtaposition of basically mild-mannered Jean Grey now becoming the X-Men's version of the Incredible Hulk. Really, really interesting how they did it.
I agree with that. I think what's also interesting as Jarrett kind of compares this to Proteus, but Proteus didn't just wipe out a whole world. So you're putting Jean at this crazy evil. She just wiped out. And they give you like panels of, well, the people on that were sleeping, they're the lucky one. It's like, whoa, this is deep.
Yeah.
To make it out to be this girl is crazy. And is it her? Is it the Phoenix? It's what's going on.
That's a really good point, Pat, because they could have just shown her blow up the sun and blow up the planet, but in a few panels, they got you to know that race and know those people, and you really feel it when they're all gone in blink of an eye.
Jerk.
The book is dumb.
I knew it.
You sat here patiently as we geeked out. What do you
I did. I was like, yes, fascinating. Excellent point. This book's dumb. No, it's not. It's not dumb. Here's why I feel bad for this book and its relationship with me. Godfather. I've never seen Godfather. I tweeted about it the other day. All kinds of people jump, oh, this is Godfather, greatest movie ever made, greatest movie ever made. And I'm afraid to watch Godfather because I'm like, it can't possibly live up to what everybody said. Let's talk about Delvin and Star Wars. How I asked Jason on a scale of 1 to 10, Star Wars.
10.
Pat, 1 to 10, Star Wars.
10.
10. There's no possible way it's going to live up to that because Delvin's never seen it. He's going to sit down and watch it and be like, it was okay. But it's not everything that it's been built to be. I very recently watched, because everybody, you got to see Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It's the funniest thing ever. You got to see Porky's. It's the funniest thing ever. So I watched those 2 movies and I wasn't entertained terribly by either one. I don't think they're bad, but it's just like, it just can't be what people have built it up over all these years. And this is where that book is for me. It's just like Phoenix Saga. I don't read X-Men, but if you can't, he's like, Jared, what's the most famous story arc in X-Men? Phoenix Saga. I mean, that's what they did with the animated show back in the 90s. It's like, it is the core. They built movies around it in the movie cinematic universe. So I feel bad for it because I know that however many million people have read this can't be wrong. I know I'm in the minority and I pick on it and I don't like the cosmic stuff and I don't like the overpowered villains. But I'm also coming to it so late that it's not fair. I think if I read this live in 1980, it would mean more. Just like, if we all lived in the same neighborhood, we were kids and Delvin came over and watched Star Wars with us, he'd love it as much as we do right now, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And that's where
I think, to be fair too, I mean, I think for those of us who do love it, and I kind of using your Star Wars analogy, we kind of talked about Raiders even, because I told you there's 10-year-old Jason that wants to score Raiders one way and 51-year-old Jason that wants to score the other. And it's similar to this. I think back on this from when I was a kid, and in my mind, my adult mind, I'm remembering all the really cool, good artistic moments out of it. And now that I'm going back through it, I'm reading it, and I'll admit there's some dry spells in the book. And Jared, you bring up a valid point. As far as having an overpowered villain and then having another overpowered villain, maybe the pacing of that wasn't the greatest choice. So I think you bring a perspective here that's actually helpful. If we're going to actually critique the book and give it a score, we've got 2 sides on it here. One that's looking at it very objectively for the first time. And then there's several of us who have read it. And in our minds, we have cherry picked the story, all the really cool, iconic moments. And as we're going back reading it, to me, I'm like, it's still really good, but it's like, yeah, okay, I can kind of see Jared's point as we're going through here.
You don't encourage me, but I appreciate your words. I'm not going to tear this book down. I'm just kind of that was my best analogy to kind of explain. This is Delvin's Star Wars or my Godfather. Like, I'm almost at the point where I refuse to watch Godfather because I just know I'm going to watch it and be like, okay, it just can't be what it's been built to be.
So it's like the Family Guy thing. It insists upon it.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
But I do get what you're saying. I honestly do. So I'll offer this advice. Block out all the noise of it and just read it as a comic book and just leave it alone.
That's what I'm trying to do.
And just go from there. And very well aware that, the people who are going to listen to this are going to have their love and affectation, but it's going to be exactly like you said, because they remember reading this coming up and know how seminal it is to X history, so much so that a lot of that history is still in the book today, as Jason said, but you don't have that, Jared. And so it actually is very unfair to just lump it on you like that, or to anyone listening to this podcast who hasn't read Uncanny X-Men and they don't have the history. just go back, and I would say that to you too, not just to Jared. Go back and read it, and just read it as a comic book. And if you enjoy the build-up and stuff like that, that is awesome. And if you don't, guess what? That part wasn't for you, but it's okay. It's still a part of lore, and it honestly doesn't make you wrong necessarily about it. It would just be your opinion on it. And that's something I truly do believe, because it's already canon. It's already canon. It's already legendary, just much like Star Wars is legendary. I would be a fool to sit there and say, oh, Star Wars isn't legendary. Of course it is. It's inspired generations of ideas, and who knows what else is going to come. And there's so many people who have cited Star Wars as like their inspiration for all sorts of projects, not even science fiction based. It was that seminal. I just happen to look at it, a little bit. It's like, okay, yeah, it's all right. It's just one of those things. It just was one of those things that I happen to be late to. Yeah, it happens.
And I'm late to this. And I will absolutely say Chris Claremont's a creative genius. I'll absolutely say that John Byrne and Dave Cockrum before him, I mean, gosh, what a 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
I give the book a hard time, but I respect its place in history. I want to make that clear.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think you come off totally that way, and it's not your cup of tea, but maybe somebody else's, and that's all right. That's what's great about going through these and figuring out what we like, what we don't like, and getting a fresher perspective on it. So I appreciate that.
I think the real question is, getting back to the book itself, the real question is, now that she's gone, I assume Colossus can metal up again and be strong. They got to steal that tree. I mean, come on. That tree is worth millions of dollars.
They even mentioned it to where they're like, you can New York City can fund. Yeah, so, yeah. You got to think Professor X are like, to me, my X-Men, bring that tree.
Bring that tree. We need a new plane. We need a new freaking plane.
Of course, Warren's like, I could take or leave the tree. No.
Pass the marmalade.
Then you got what's his name up in space going, hey, that's more. I wanted that tree too, because that could buy me another
freaking Corbu.
Yeah,
I love that guy.
Turbo. Yeah,
he just shows up like at the most random time and in space too. Like, hello. Anyway.
All right. Well, I think we've talked enough about this one, unless anybody has any other stuff they want to talk about, which it doesn't seem like. But we still have one more thing to talk about real quick, and let's find out who went the extra mile for this issue. Jason, who's your extra mile?
Well, in terms of distance, it'd have to be Phoenix, because she went a lot of miles. I'm going to go with Beast. Number one, he's kept the Avengers off the X-Men's case. He's sacrificed his relationship with the Avengers to come back to the family, and he's back. And it's hinting he's going to play a pivotal role in the upcoming battle with the Phoenix. So,
Jared?
Senator Kelly, I like the cut of his jib. I think he seems like a real nice guy.
He's going places. He's going places.
He's got a charm about him that's undeniable. All right. I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to give the extra mile to one of the creative team members. I'm giving it to Byrne, because as much crap as I gave Claremont about taking him into space the first chance he gets, man, gosh, is that not just showcase Byrne's art? I mean, look at those spacecrafts. Like, good God, this guy can draw anything. Like, his fight scene was incredible. Then we go to space, and you get like this. I guess that's kudos to the colorist too. Those star backgrounds and the planets. Like, it's a gorgeous book. So I'm gonna cheat a little bit and give it to Byrne and Austin. And even though it wasn't Glynis, Bob Sharon, it just looks good. It looks so.
We're calling him Glynis. His name is Glynis.
B Team Glynis, Glynis. It's an incredible looking book. So I know it's a bit of a cop out. You know, if you forced me to pick a character, I probably like Jason. I think Beast really stood up a little bit on this one, but that's how I'm going.
Delvin?
Jared, just imagine you're a story creator, right? And you have this idea, and you're not really an artist, but you just have this great idea in your head about this story that you want to develop and to get out to the masses. And then he's like, man, if I just had an artist that could encapsulate all of this stuff. And then they pop out this stuff, and he's like, oh my God, this is it. This is it. This is freaking crazy. So yeah, I could only imagine like that Claremont had to be just, over the moon to find someone like John Byrne. Like that had to just be a crazy, crazy coincidence. Because heck, there wasn't any internet back in the day. They just had to find each other. So that was crazy. Anyway, Extra Mile, I'm going to give it to Storm because I love her humanity. And I could probably say that in literally any issues that she's in. And I love her so much in that, they made a few alterations to the character a little bit, but if Chris Claremont passed away tomorrow and for some reason, everyone decided to take a big dump on the X-Men, which they haven't done and probably can't do, but he can rest in peace and say, I created Aurora Monroe. I created Storm. I did okay. Because she's just so pure. You've got this primal force that has taken over one of your dearest friends, and you're still like, I don't want to do anything to harm her. I want to do everything I can to still try and protect her. Crazy. I love Aurora. She's awesome.
I love the Aurora journey, by the way. I love watching her go from this to the leader. Mohawk era is maybe my favorite. Her journey is really compelling. And Claremont takes her all the way on that journey. Full credit to.
Best leader the X-Men ever had.
Good points all around. I am going to go with Colossus on this. I like.
Wait.
What?
Wait.
Right.
Going with who?
Colossus.
I don't know who this guy is.
There you go.
You say Colossus, I say Colossus, whatever.
Let's call the whole thing off.
Yeah. Serpentor, Serpentor, whatever. You know what I mean. The metal guy. I like him. I think, he did his best part in the beginning here as doing whatever he could for the team. And I'm going to, metal up and I'm going to hit the ground and I'm going to try to save everybody do what I can here. So, and you guys picked a lot of the other good things about this one as well, too. So I think with that, let's get into the ratings for this issue. And it's a 1 through 5 rating. 5 is you loved it. It gave you a ring to swing from. 4, really liked it. 3, liked it. 2, didn't like it. And 1, you hated it. It turned you into the baby. Jared, start us off here.
Oh, the pressure. You made me go first.
Baseline, yep.
You made me go first. All right. As everybody on the show knows, you can take any normal person and add 1 to my score to get a normal person score. So again, from Jared, this is a very solid 3. I like it just fine. It's teetering on the edge of 4. If we hadn't gone to space and if we hadn't got 2 overpowered villains back to back, I think I could have hit 4. I'm at a 3. I know that's low for an iconic storyline. Send your hate voicemails to 707-532-5269 and I will tell you. But seriously, folks, I can fully admit that a 3 from me, as I think we're going to find out, is worth more to everybody else. So let's find out.
Jason?
In fairness, I think if I were going to score the actual story, it would be about a 3 level. There's a lot of setting up here, a lot of dialogue. Pacing was a little slow in places. But again, because I know what they're setting up here, kind of similar to what I said about the cover, you've kind of got to give it that 4 because you know the journey. For those of us that have read it before, know the journey that it's on. So understand Jared's 3, very understandable. I'm going to land on a 4 for me.
Delvin?
I'm with Jason. It's a very strong 4, and I want to see what's next. Issue by issue, what's next. I know how it ends, but I want to see issue by issue the build up as to what's next because they set the table and it's a mighty fine table. So I can't wait to sit down and get me some turkey and some dressing and some good old gravy. So what do you got, Pat?
I'm with you guys at a high 4 on this one too. It didn't get to the point to where I loved it. I thought, some over explanation was going on. And I did feel a little lost in the beginning as well, too, because I really wanted to know what happened before that we kind of left off.
Stop letting the voters choose, man. Let's go X-Men.
I think we read Captain America last time.
Yeah, we read Captain America last
That was a good issue.
But it was a good cap.
Yeah, voters picked well.
Who knows? Maybe we'll do something where we'll revisit some of these issues that we missed. So people that like what we're doing here with the X-Men can get a taste of our thoughts on that. Maybe Jared will join us. Maybe he won't. We'll see.
I am interested enough to be willing to join that. I want to be clear about that. Even though this isn't like as exciting to me as Spidey, like I definitely have the same question you, Pat. Like, how do you come to terms with the fact that you destroyed an entire planet of living, breathing beings? Like, I gotta know how you reconcile that, because that is bad.
And not even one in like self-defense. It was like, yeah, I'm hungry, so I'm gonna eat your son.
Yeah, it was jacked up.
So definitely a high 4. Looking forward to more on this. And like Delvin that said, I want to just slowly, take this meal in and enjoy it. Definitely is the way I'm feeling too. Good take on that, Delvin.
I'm in on that. I'm in for the ride.
All right. So you got a seat at the table.
I'm coming. I haven't missed a meal yet.
Maybe we might be saying, hey, Jared, you want these? Yams, and you'll be going like, I'm going to pass on the yams a little bit. But
the only time you guys passed me the broccoli plate was when I quit on it.
The Imcron crystal.
I just like, I can't.
I don't need the broccoli.
I can't do it anymore. Mashed potatoes. I can't eat any more broccoli.
So remember,
give me a Daffy Duck comic book, for the love of God.
So remember, Crusader Club members, if you want this feast to continue, please vote. You never know. There's a lot of good comics at this time coming up. So it's a tough vote for the Crusader Club members, and which is great that we let them choose that. And I think it's very good. And we wouldn't have read some of the great issues we've read from what they've chosen so far. The Flash and the Captain America one. Just, boy, good times this time. And with that, that's going to bring us to an end of this part of the show. You got a comment or a question, send us an email at contact@longboxcrusade.com or make a comment on the Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook page. You can also leave us a voicemail that we just might play on the show. Leave it at 707-532-5269. That's 707-532-LBOX.
Leave Jared alone.
Call Jared. Tell him, shut up about it.
We'll be right back.
The Incredible Hulk and the Twins of Evil. In a mind-boggling attempt to destroy the Green Goliath, the Abomination and Wendigo join forces.
Alone I can fight you to a standstill. Together we can render you helpless.
Hulk only wants to fight fair.
The deadly duo leave the Hulk defeated. But suddenly...
It's the Hulk.
Keep away. Hulk no like people.
It's okay, Hulk. We'll help you.
You got to have something to eat, Hulk. Here, have a Hostess fruit pie.
Hostess fruit pie?
You'll like the real fruit filling.
And how about that light, flaky crust?
Hulk happy now. Hulk thanks, boys.
The green gargantuan crashes off into the forest.
I'm glad we have Hostess fruit pies to share with the Hulk. He ate them all. Apple, lemon, and cherry.
In a strange way, I think he knows we're his friends.
Now Hulk take care of unfinished business.
You get a big delight in every bite of Hostess fruit pies.
Welcome back from the break. Now let's get to the feedback part of the show where we share your comments, emails, questions, likes, and shares in a segment called Crusader Comments. We are thrilled to kick off these comments with special shout outs to our Crusaders Club members. These are the fine folks that have joined our crusade. They enjoy early access to special Longbox episodes, voting to help determine show content, and so much more. So these are the folks reaping the benefits and giving some much appreciated support to the show.
And Helica Wolf.
Auburn Elvis.
Theo Blair.
Blast it or stash it.
Rexton Underwood.
First Lieutenant Entropy. What? You got promoted. Captain Entropy.
Clinton Robinson.
Dave Collins.
Gary V.
Gene Hendricks.
Gerald Green.
Jason, possibly Albrecht, but King. It reads Jason King.
Jeremy L.
Jim Jarman. I hope you like Jim Jarman too.
With a little Joe Thomas.
John Watson.
Josh Strickland.
Candace Ward.
MVP Kathy Bright.
Mark Ross.
Maxwell Traver.
Michael Wagner.
Miranda W.
P.D. Devins.
Paul Hick.
Rick from Jeff and Rick Present.
Rob Morgan.
Rosmus Show.
Ryan Daly.
Samantha Maney.
Sean Urbanski.
Spidey 67.
He crushes his enemies. Steve Cronin the Barbarian.
Tim Price.
Tony Pendleton.
And finally, Toronto Cop. If we missed anyone on our list, we apologize. Keep in mind that we record these episodes well in advance of release, so if you're a recent addition, we should be adding you soon, but still, no worries. Just let us know that we missed you by sending an email to contact@longboxcrusade.com and we will get it straightened out. As a reminder, you can become a Crusaders Club member by heading over to patreon.com/longboxcrusade. For as little as $1 a month, you'll get access to the amazing world of the Crusaders Club. Come check it out. Don't have any extra scratch lying around, but still want to help us out here at LBC headquarters? Please take a moment to write a review on iTunes for this podcast. Even if you just want to keep it short with just star ratings, it helps raise the profile of the show, and we will share your review on the next show. We are combining 2 shows, Crusader Chronicles episode 58 from December 1979 and Crusader Chronicles episode 59 from January 1980.
Aaron Headmoss.
Aaron Todd.
And Helica Fetty Wolf.
Bill at Spy Vinyl.
Billy Dunlevy.
Carlos Raphael.
Carmine Del Vecchio.
Chris Lyden.
Chris Sheehan.
Chris at BTO and Batbooks.
Down the highway.
Jason.
Na.
For like 6 years we've been doing it.
Never gets old.
Christopher Owlett.
Clinton Robeson.
Coffee and Comic.
Comic Flections.
Danielle Patton.
David Holbrooks.
Days of High Adventure Podcast.
The Dame herself, Deborah Smith.
Fan Film Fridays.
Frank Hussey.
That's my comic book dealer.
Is it?
Yep.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Gene Hendricks.
James, or as we call him, Jimmy Mac 83.
Jeffrey Fonzo. Hey.
Jeremy Spalding.
John Barber. I was going to say never mess with a bald barber. Got no respect for your hair.
John Mauser.
Johnny Torch, creator of Bullets Bourbon Comics.
Johnny Sigurd.
Justin Steiner.
Kathy Blueheart Peacock Orange Heart Bright.
I thought that was broccoli.
It's a peacock.
Oh, okay, got it.
MVP and captivating.
Ken Solo.
The lovely Laurel Mountain Flower.
Liz Ann Oswalt.
Manuel Cañete Mendoza.
Martin Roach.
Max Traver.
Max.
Pablo de Medellin.
Patch Landers.
Philip O.
Prairie Justice.
Rick Heineken.
Saul Lerman.
Steve Ulrich.
Steve Satorio.
Tim Price, the Podcrasher.
Tony Pennington.
I didn't even ask for a beat, and they're giving me a beat. Jeez.
Got a satchel, not a satchel.
Power of the Power Pack.
There you
go. Jeff and Rick present Unpacking the Power of the Power Pack. There we go. Good beat, guys.
Bernard Jeffries.
Victor Escobar.
And we'll finish it off with Wolf Bundick.
Oh.
Wolf Bundick?
That has to be made up. Anyway, we have some social media comments. We will start with Crusader Chronicles episode 58. And Tim M.F. and Price said, sorry I'm behind on my podcast listening. Just got to this one. First, in Flash, his civilian name is Eobard Thawne, and his complete villain name is Professor Zoom, the Reverse Flash, showing his greatest crime is claiming a title he did not earn. Second, woo-ha! I remember that was from the Busta Rhymes cover description that Jared gave. And hey, Professor Zoom was just following in the footsteps centuries ago of Dr. J, Julius Erving, who also was not a real doctor. Tim continues and says, third, need more mercy bullets. Dan continues and says he keeps them in his Mercy battle wagon right next to the Mercy Bowie knife and his copy of How to Mercy Next Snap Fool. I think he may have been laying it on pretty thick there, but it was funny. It was funny. Give him credit for that. Now we will get to oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jared.
How thick?
We will now get to comments on Crusader Chronicles episode 59.
I'm going to go with the Hammer Strikes randomly geeky stuff. He says, Lightmaster, where have I heard that name in connection to Spider-Man before? Oh yeah, when Spidey teamed up with the greatest Marvel character ever. And then he provides a picture of Marvel team-up Spider-Man and Quasar. So I think he's implying that Quasar is the greatest Marvel character ever.
He could imply, but he's wrong.
Yeah, he's wrong.
Fine. It's clearly Spider-Man.
Guys, we all have room. There's room for everyone's favorite character.
Especially if it's Spider-Man.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got one. You guys might need to explain this one to me. We got one from Captivating Kathy Bright, the EVP, and it's basically a wide-eyed emoji, laughing emoji, hashtag outtakes, and it's like this kid just like porking out on Arby's sandwiches. Like, did we talk about Arby's, or does anybody remember how this came up in the outtakes?
I was wondering too. I stared at it for a minute. I was tempted to take it.
We're talking about, I think at the end, somebody mentions Arby's, and then Jason and I start talking about how we like roast beefs with the Arby's sauce and different stuff like that.
That sounds good.
I think we ended the outtakes with that.
Oh, okay.
All right.
While we're talking about outtakes, kudos to the one you put together, Pat, with the sexy pick up the phone one that you made of us. That was very funny. I do remember the Arby's talk now that you mention it. So yeah, we got an Arby's gift from Kat.
I will take one from James. And James says, always thought the Hellfire Club had a keen fashion sense. And you know what, James, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what really surprised me in this issue of X-Men that we read. Shaw's got a shirt on and a jacket. It's like, come on, man. Why are you wearing a shirt?
Well, he wasn't in the club. When he's in the club, he can be himself, free and shirtless and all mutiny and everything. He was trying to act like a respectable businessman.
I dig it. Found me in the club.
There you go.
I got it. I picked it up.
Got the show.
I'm trying to add production value without getting us a copyright strike.
All right, I'll read one from Coffee and Comics, who says, as much as I love Dazzler, I should really be more upset over those numbers. But I read this issue, and you guys really aren't wrong here, other than Dazzler is wonderful, and she definitely should get that duet with MJ. Ooh, no.
We should get to the show closing.
There's one more comment as well from Unpacking the Power of the Power Pack, Power Pack Power to Stop, that says, this is getting into the meat of the best X-Men. Glad you gave this the 5 rating it deserves. Thanks to everyone for the likes, shares, follows, and comments. We appreciate your friendship and help in spreading the word about this podcast.
And that's the show. Be sure to check out the website longboxcrusader.blogspot.com, where posts will be made for journaling this crusade. I want to thank Jared, Jason, and Delvin for joining me on this episode. But before we go, let's find out where the listeners can find us on the internet. Delvin, we'll start with you.
You can find me on Twitter at DEE_RAY1977. Jason.
You can find me at Weasel Skull on Twitter or at Jason Albrick on Facebook and Instagram. Jared.
You can find me at Yard Sale Artist, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. It's all at Yard Sale Artist. You can check out my wares at www.theyardsaleartist.com. And if you love the X-Men as much as I do offer a Cyclops one and a Wolverine piece. I will cash in on those fools as quick as you can imagine.
That's right. They make money.
Pat.
Well, Jared, I'm glad you asked. You can find me on the Twitter at Christatos01. And if you want to interact with us via live chat and be entered to win some free stuff on our live raffles, join us on our next episode of Doing It live stream on YouTube. And that's the second Sunday of every month at 3:30 p.m. Central Time. Check out Longbox Crusade on YouTube, and please subscribe to our channel and click the bell so you'll get notification reminders of when we go live and all the extra stuff that we are putting out on the YouTube now. Tell your friends, tell your sister and your mama too that you're about to subscribe and you know just what to do. So thank you for listening, and we hope you have enjoyed this episode of Crusader Chronicles. You got a comment or a question, email us at contact@longboxcrusade.com or leave a comment on the Longbox Crusade Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter page, all at Longbox Crusade. Until next time, take care, and please join us on the next episode as we continue on the Crusade to Read them all. The intro music for Crusader Chronicles is provided by musical genius Joe November.
Check out his SoundCloud at JOSEFLIN99. You won't regret it.
All songs, song clips, and characters discussed are copyright of their respective copyright holders, and no infringement is intended. We are just fans that like to share our love of comics.
Outtakes.
Your podcasting skills are better than your jujitsu skills, Delvin.
What?
Jujitsu.
Take two, jujitsu.
Jujitsu. All right. Delvin, your podcasting skills are better than your jujitsu attack.
You know what? I set you up for failure. I should have used the
given it my line.
Jujitsu. All right, I gotta say it slowly.
You know what? Should we switch lines? Hold up. Switch.
Say fighting skills.
Or you can say self-defense skills.
Yeah.
That works.
All right.
Jared.
What? Was it something I did? Alternate take. Did I do that? Bringing back some old.
It's a miracle going on in here.
Oh, man. Throat.
I hope.
I've been sick for like over a week.
I want to party like us. Let me hear you say it.
Oh, man.
Down mute.
I can't.
Tim Price. I'm just kidding. I want to watch Pat's face. Tim Price.
Tony motherfucking Paddington.
Winner. Well done. Need help?
That's you.
Oh, I need help.
I know this one.
He just gave you some help, Jared.
Coach me, Pat. I want to know what you.
Manuel Cañete Mendoza.
What?
We said this one a lot.
All right, I got it. Here we go. I'm sorry. For some reason I thought it was Pat's turn. Manuel Cañete Mendoza. I think I see hard names and just assume it's Pat's turn.
Probably. I always get the hard ones. Sal Lerman.
Saul.
What is Sal?
Mm-hmm.
Saul.
You said Sal.
Sal. No, you. All right.
Tim Price. Tim Price, the Podcrasher.
Tony MF and Pennington. Or Tony Pennington.